truths are not so binary and not so opaque as my proponent portrays them to be. And therefore, for the next 8 minutes or so, I'd like to propose 3 broad arguments for your kind consideration, Honourable Chair. Firstly, that however much my proponents may claim that the only villain in this saga is the apparent attraction towards government jobs, there are a plethora of other leading reasons for rising unemployment in our nation. Secondly, as you might have guessed, the youth of our nation are not really attracted to government jobs in the first place. And thirdly, most importantly, that even this out-of-favor public sector isn't reducing employment in our nation, it is increasing it. Honourable Chair, of course, yes, excessive attraction towards government jobs may be a part of the reason for rising unemployment in our nation. But is it the sole cause of the reason? The answer is no, with a capital N. And I won't even bore you with reasons such as overpopulation or poverty. We've all heard that there are too many people for too few jobs in this nation. Of course it is a problem. But the real problem runs deeper, and the real problem runs darker than this. With an education system that is rigid, unidimensional, and not of use, where children are told that you have 3 options: to become an engineer, to become a doctor, or to become an embarrassment to your family. Where our curriculum is so archaic that it pays tribute to Harappa and Mohenjo-daro civilizations, do we really need to be surprised that our otherwise creative young population is not finding jobs in India? On an average, our college syllabi runs 6 to 8 years behind the level of expertise required in industry. The Economic Times Employability Survey pegs that only 10% of all engineering graduates and only 11% of all management graduates are employable in our nation. The India Skills Report states that a mere 40.4% of all the graduate students in our nation are employable. With this rusted machinery, Honourable Chair, how are we supposed to produce the gears that will propel our nation forward? Of course, the government has initiated many schemes for honing skill set, for improving the educational regime, and for improving the employability of youth. But these schemes, these plans, have been underutilized, misimplemented, and misdirected. How are the future workforce of our nation supposed to be employed in this scenario? The capital-intensive sector has been saturated beyond the limit of the young millennials. With these bucketful of reasons and causes, which I am ending here, the list goes on and on, my proponent is still arguing that the only cause for rising unemployment in our nation is someone's attraction towards government jobs. Honourable Chair, this opinion is not just unjust, this opinion is uninformed. Talking of uninformed, I must move on to my second argument. Because unlike what is being implied by my proponent, the youth of our nation don't want to go into the public sector. Let's take an example. She said that 11 lakh people applied for the UPSC exam, but only 5 lakh people actually gave it. On the other hand, last year, 11 lakh people gave the JEE Mains examination, and of those aspirants, 79.4% did not want to go into the public sector, as per a survey by Naukri.com. They'd much rather go into Facebook. They'd much rather go into Microsoft. They'd much rather go into Google and other preferred work destinations, because why not? The youth of our country does not want to work in an environment that is stagnant and mundane. Our creative and productive youth don't want to work in a monotonous, day in and day out environment, with a work environment that is limiting, with work ethics that are embarrassing, and where the machinery serves contacts and nepotism. They'd much rather be in a corporate or private firm where their interests match, where their personality develops, where they learn and grow, where they have a job worth going to on a Monday morning, and where their primary source of income doesn't come in under the table. Honourable Chair, let's revisit the definition of literate in our country. Literate means a person who can read or write his or her name in his or her vernacular language. And of course, we have 74% literate people in India, but only 10.8% of them have the English interpersonal skills, and only 7.8% of them have the standard skills required by the private employers in our nation. So what happens to the other people? Where would they find their employer, or where would they find their source of income, if not the only office that works in their mode of communication, which always uses vernacular and which always utilizes their skills? That's right, Honorable Chair, government jobs. And by creating job opportunities where there were none, guess what is actually improving employment in our nation? That is right, government jobs. The victim here are actually the youngsters, majorly residing in rural areas, who don't even know that there's a world outside with jobs other than government chairs and tables, and which happens because of governments who are not bothered to widen their horizons above the world outside. The culprit here is the society that would much rather let them remain in the dark rather than light a fire, and the culprit is certainly not someone's inclination towards a particular job type, let alone be the government jobs. Honorable Chair, I'd like to end with the fact that our country has immense potential. Our country's workforce has immense potential. All we need are a few honest steps and quantum magica, just a little bit of magic. Thank you.